going live on Instagram.
And we are live now on Facebook. So you can take it away this week, Vita.
Oh, cool. All right, hang on a sec. I just have to apparently um, lower my volume. So this is all new to us, guys, just like everybody else. We're trying to figure it out. Bear with us, but this is exciting. Last time we went on Instagram Live, we had no visuals. We didn't think it was possible. And today, hopefully we will. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I think this is going to work. Here I am.
Yes, we got it going.
This is a win. You guys have no
Yeah.
idea. We just tested audio and it's like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. I can't hear you. And then when we figured it out, we're like, oh my God, this is like so exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Once all this is over, we can, run a whole television production.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be quite production pros after this.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome, friends. Welcome to episode 5 of Window Treatment Fridays. This is when Kim and I sit down here with you for 20, 25, 30 minutes and talk about window treatments. We dish it all out. We give you the ins, the outs, the ins and outs, the good, the bad, and the ugly that we have experienced. I think together we probably have, like 20, 25 years of experience in the window treatment industry. Absolutely. And we're excited to share what we know with you, the mistakes and the wins, so that you don't have to make them. You can just learn on ours. So Kim, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Kim. I'm coming live to you from our showroom. So we are back in the office, which is really exciting after 10 weeks of working from home. So the lovely window treatment you see behind me is the back wall display that we have here at WindowWorks. We are located in Livingston, New Jersey, and we service the Jersey, New York, and tri-state area. We are open to the public. We have a retail showroom, and we also offer trade accounts.
Very nice. And my name is Vita. I am the owner of Vitalia Inc. Window Treatments and now offering awnings to the trade for interior designers and architects. We are located in the Philadelphia area. So if you are Philly, South Jersey, Delaware, all around Philadelphia really, and you are looking to either add window treatments to your services or outsource them to somebody who knows and who's, like I said, made the mistakes and is willing to take the responsibility. We are the measuring, fabrication, installation, and project management company exclusive to the trade. And ultimately, we take the responsibility for the project and we take on the heartaches and the headaches of the whole process so that you don't have to.
Alrighty. So if anyone has any questions or would like topics to be discussed on future episodes, just leave us drop us a comment in the comments box, or you can always send us a direct message either on Instagram or on Facebook. All right, and we are off, and we are going to be discussing valances this week.
And specifically straight valances. We decided that we have enough visuals here to show you some straight valance variations and some of the like the curvy ones, the shaped ones is what I'm trying to say. We're going to leave the curvy ones. We're going to leave for another time. So what we have here in front of you guys are what we call just the straight valance with inverted pleats. The pleats in the corners we call kick pleats. The pleat in the center is just an inverted box pleat essentially. Mm-hmm. And what you're seeing here are 3 different sort of small variations on this straight valance essentially. You're seeing on the left, you're seeing a picture with the inverted pleat in the center and the kick pleats on the sides and the corners with the trim along the bottom. Then the upper right is the same valance. The only difference is there we decided not to have the pleat in the center. There's no specific kind of rhyme or reason to it. It's just whatever you prefer, whatever you want to accentuate, however much interest you want to have in your valances. And the picture on the bottom is also the straight valance with kick pleats, no center pleat, but there notice we ran contrasting fabric in those kick pleats. So you can have the contrasting either in in the kick pleat or in the inverted pleat in the center, really anywhere you want. And another little detail there, hopefully you can see, is the same contrasting fabric that you're seeing in the kick pleats. You're also seeing along the piping up at the top of the board.
Yeah. With these valances, this is where you can really get add a lot of small details, like Vita was saying, taking the contrast from the pleat, the contrast fabric, and then creating the welting at the top out of the same fabric. So it's marrying the designs together. Hey, Gina, over on Facebook, glad to have you join us. And
Hey,
just
Jean.
and especially like with the one on the top right where it's just a solid cream fabric and then you're adding the trim on there. It just gives it a little bit of a decorative element in order for you to really enhance the design. And a lot of times what happens too in a situation like this, if you have in some windows a valance and then a coordinating drape, you can also incorporate that trim and really marry the two treatments together. Okay, all right, there you go. You were able to switch it on Instagram, no problem. Yay! For those of you on Facebook who
This is
don't
the
know,
win for today.
yes, in Facebook world, we are also going live on Instagram. So our challenge this week was trying to get the visuals that you all see here on Facebook onto Instagram. So it's very exciting for us. It's little small victories that really make this whole thing
You're so
a
right. It's
blast.
little small victories, you know. If I
Yeah.
mean, if I carry anything else from this whole lockdown, shutdown, it's to enjoy and to really relish in the small victories
Yep,
of it all.
absolutely. So figuring out tech and being able to go live every week and this whole thing out. Hey, Manuela on Instagram has been really great. So, okay. So explain to everyone about these valances here, Vita.
Okay, so these are, again, still staying with the straight valances.
Hmm.
On the upper right, so we'll start there, you're seeing a straight valance with pleats in the corners, but unlike the kick pleats that you saw in the previous picture, there are actually two pleats on each side that are folded towards the center. So it's just an additional way, a kind of different way, a
Hmm.
unique way, just a slight differentiation there, and something interesting to add to your valance. So really, you can have kind of pleats going in every which direction, if you will. And on the bottom there, we have a very interesting valance that we did a little while ago, where the inverted box pleat is actually doubled. So
Hmm.
first you have the inverted box pleat, and then you have another pleat kind of on top of it. So essentially the fabric folded towards each other, creating the pleat, and then it's folded again. So it's kind of like a double inverted box pleat. And not only do we have just one of those, we have two of those in this particular valance, kind of spread apart a little bit. And because two double inverted pleats wasn't enough, we decided to run two rows
Yeah.
of banding. And I'm pretty sure, yep, looking just at the big picture there, that banding was two different sizes. So
Wow.
it's a thicker banding on the top and a thinner banding on the bottom.
And again, that's another great use of a play on trim. And so, is this trim on the one on the bottom right? Is it trim or is it a fabric that you did to create that banding?
That is such a good question, Kim. Only geeks like us who like
I know would know that.
who would even like think to ask that, right?
Exactly.
So it's not a tape, it's not a trim. Technically, this was actually contrasting fabric
Yep.
made into banding.
So that's another thing too that I want to bring up because we've done this at Window Works where we did a solid valance and a customer really liked a pattern, a geometric pattern of another fabric. So she was like, I wish there was a way that we could incorporate the two. And so we created a band at the bottom where we were able to cut out the pattern and really add a decorative element at the bottom. So a lot of times too, if you can't find a trim that necessarily goes with your fabric, there are tons of solid options out there. So you can find a solid fabric and you can create these little, details here on your valances. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another version of a pleated valance, just in a longer form. So this is another way, if you have a big picture window, as with these two examples here, that if you didn't want to have a rod, um, connecting the two drapes, this is another way to add another decorative element in the space. Now, in our valance, we have about 5 pleats there, and then we added the panels out of the same matching fabric. There was, because of the pattern and everything else, they opted not to add any other decorative element, which is fine, because there is a lot going on with this fabric. So the trick here is also getting the patterns to match at the pleats. So that's another thing too. Another cool design element is making them match up, because, and it is a little bit of a tricky tricky element when you are working with a valance that is this big, to make sure that everything lines up and the pattern does get synced. And the same thing I can imagine with that valance on the bottom, having that medallion centered along all those pleats.
That's exactly right, Kim. And another really good catch there. And being that we at Vitalia Inc. we're also the workroom, meaning that not only do we help our designers with designs and engineering and fabrics and whichever else they need us to support them, we actually fabricate all of our treatments in our facility, in our
Mm-hmm.
studio, which is in Bucks County outside of Philadelphia. And so this whole pattern matching, which is what Kim was just talking about, it's a thing, and
Yeah.
it's a really pretty big deal, and it's a skill and a somewhat maybe even of a talent if the pattern is really intricate. But as a workroom, we pay a huge and considerable attention to making sure that our patterns are run ever so now whichever way that needs to be. So for example, in the image up at the top, that pattern was sort of all over, and like Kim said, it was important to place that pattern between each pleat in the same way, so each element between the pleat has the same pattern placement. In the valance at the bottom, because the pattern was so big, and in that medallion was, it was a decent size, we took special care to place those medallions between the pleats. If we were to not think about it, if that wasn't a consideration, if we were to just like run the fabric and cross and
Yeah.
pleat it wherever we wanted to, when you have patterns, big or small, but distinct pattern, like be that floral or like this medallion big pattern, if we took no consideration, that would be all over the place and it would be a mess. So
Yeah.
it's important, designers, for those of you watching us, to, if you have a big and prominent patterns, to consider those and work with your workroom and your fabricator to make sure that it's placed where you want it.
And a lot of times too, we jump into, oh, what's the design? How are we? What valance type are we using? But sometimes you almost have to, especially if you're planning on using a big pattern, you almost have to select your fabric first, and then we can kind of create and be like, okay, this pattern works, better with having pleats at the ends, or having just, a pleat at the ends or a pleat in the middle, or yes, we have the medallion and it repeats every so often. Let's put the pleat at the repeat. So a lot of times too, you can't always select the design of the valance until you have the fabric selected.
That's right. That's a good point. Hey, Luann says, hello, ladies. Well, hello, Luann.
Hi, Luann.
Is she like right next to you or like next
No,
door?
I'm in the showroom and Luann is in the office, so she's in the other room. Yeah.
All right. Let me move us here on Instagram.
Okay.
All right. So what
Well,
we have here, we call it a tailored mock Roman valance with equal pleats. And I realize, folks on Instagram, the picture on the right, you can't really see because I'm blocking it. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I will have to be extra careful next time when we put together these presentations to make sure that I don't really have anything in like a in that real estate space on the PowerPoint. Anyway, but you can get the gist based on the other two pictures. So what we have, equal pleats. They may look like sort of like a Roman shade, if you will. But instead of Roman shades where the pleats get stacked at the bottom, these are stacked equally throughout the length of the valance. You can have as many pleats as you want. Now, usually valances are anywhere between 18 to 22 inches,
mhm.
and each pleat is about 4 inches. You can make it 5, 6, whatever you want. That's part of the design, part of the fabrication. It's really part of the collaboration, which is what Luann and I always talk about on the WTFs that we do on her podcast. So it's the working together between the designer and the window treatment specialist and the workroom. So you can also, in addition to having your flexibility in terms of how big those pleats are, folds, you can make it interesting by running a band like you're seeing in the other picture. So we just wanted to break it up. There's no hard and fast rules. It's what is your design aesthetic and also what's possible. And part of the reason that Kim and I are doing these is to show you what we have done in the past so that you know that it's possible to do for you in the future.
Yeah, and these Roman valances, or we call them here the Vita Valance at WindowWorks,
I like that.
they're a nice alternative to, say, like a cornice, or instead of doing like what you see behind me right here are Romans. They look like Roman shades, but they're actually mock Roman valances. So they don't move, but they give the illusion that they go up and down. You really can't see, but they go to the ceiling. Let me see if I can go back there. Yeah, they go to the ceiling and they're installed right under the drapery rod. So if you have a situation where like something like this may not necessarily be, appropriate, and you wanted to still have that Roman shade look, or you didn't want to have a cornice, this is another alternative that you can do as a valance.
Nice. So here we also have a tailored mock Roman valance, but unlike the previous slide that you saw where the pleats were equal, here you have the mock Roman valance with small pleats at the bottom. Or, I say small, but you can actually make them whichever size you want, depending on the proportion and the overall size of the valance. The pleats that you're seeing in the upper picture are probably about, I would say, maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches or so. And actually, I say on all 3 pictures, they're about between 1 inch to 2 inches or so. And you can have 3 folds. You can have, in the picture on the left, I think there's like 6 folds. And those were actually much, the valances were much longer too. So depending on the size of the valance, the length, and the proportion that you want to have those pleats to take up, the world is your oyster.
Yeah. On Instagram, hey Swati, so glad to have you join us. And also too, you want to note that in the one picture on the right, on Instagram, you can kind of see it a little bit, but on Facebook, there's that trim detail that runs along the side. And then on the ears, the side return of the valance, that trim was brought down too, just to kind of give it that finished wrapped look, which is again where you can add those decorative detailed areas into your window treatments. I almost like to call it like the jewelry. Like I like to refer to trim and things like that in the add-ons as like, that nice piece of jewelry that you're just adding on to the treatment to just finish the look.
Nice. And that completes the eye candy of the presentation.
Yes. So we hope you enjoyed this week's episode on valances, particularly straight valances. And we both have some free goodies on our website. If you go over to windowworksnj.com, you can get Architectural Digest Isn't Coming, the 10 things you need to know about custom window treatments. It's an ebook that Luann wrote. It has some really great tips if you're new into the window treatment world, if you're just starting to investigate window treatments for your home, or if you're a new designer really getting into the window treatment side of the business. This is a really great ebook and a really great tool for you to have on window treatments.
And for our part, Vitalia Inc. also has a nice little free goodie for you. It's a free downloadable PDF on our website. You can go on vitaliainc.com, and what you'll get is 37.5 window treatment ideas that you can use immediately, swipe, steal, and make your own in your next design project. And it's all the ideas curated by yours truly, where I just give you a lot of inspiration and giving you what's possible.
And we actually have a question here on Instagram from Manuela.
Oh,
The question is, and I will read it so that everyone in Facebook world, we could also see it. It says, what are the advantages or disadvantages of using a valance versus a cornice?
good one. I
So it's a
like
good.
it.
So I think that it really depends on the design aesthetic. It all depends on the look that you're going for. There really is no disadvantage. I think
I would say with cornices are much harsher, and they
yeah,
are. It's essentially the big difference between the cornice and the valance is this. The valance has the top board, we call it the dust cap, and then the valance falls off of that dust cap, and it has like a very soft look. Sometimes valances have what are called legs on the bottom. Those are also made out of wood, and the valance wraps around it, so it gives it a more tailored look, but still it's a softer look. Cornice, the way it's actually made, so it still has the dust cap, it has the legs, but it also has the front board, and the front board is literally upholstered. So think of like any other upholstery that you've done in your past. It's like taking the window treatment, taking a board, wrapping it with some Dacron, and then stretching the fabric taut all around it. So it's a much, I mean, it's still tailored, but it's a harsher look, I think. Oftentimes in my practice, cornices are appropriate, if you will, in like dance or men's studies, or we often use them in like boys' rooms. Whereas valances, we would use, I mean, we could still use valances in those situations and rooms as well, but also use them in all the other rooms also.
yeah. I think it really boils down to the design aesthetic that you're looking for, and what you're trying to achieve, because there's different uses for different things, but there is, I mean, I don't think there's an advantage or a disadvantage. It all goes down to aesthetic and what you're looking to do.
Kind of like, what is your vision? What do you want the
Yeah,
space to feel like? That's what I usually
right.
ask my
It's
clients.
also like trying to decipher like which pleat do you want to use? Like, do you want to use a ripple fold? Do you want to use a pinch pleat? So it all depends on what you have going on in the space. You're welcome, Manuela. Hope all is well with you. All right. To hear the WTF on the podcast, make sure you follow Luann over at Luann on Instagram, and you could get all information on Luann's website at luannagara.com, and subscribe to the podcast on any platforms that you listen to your podcasts on. Okay. And then if you want to keep in contact with us, I'm Kim over at WindowWorks, and you can follow us at WindowWorks on Instagram and over on Facebook. You can send us an email at info@windowworksnj.com if you have any questions or if you'd like to work with us here. Yeah, and we're here in Jersey, and we're slowly starting to get back into the rhythm of everything.
I'm so glad that you guys are getting back into it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And if you are in the Philadelphia area and you're an interior designer who has either not been using window treatments in her projects, maybe have been afraid or hesitant for whatever reason, please reach out, and I'm always here to help. I work with hashtag baby designers, hashtag seasoned designers, and everybody in between.
Yeah.
Actually, just yesterday, I met with a brand new designer to us. She's been in
Whoa.
business for 10 years, and she's very knowledgeable in window treatments, actually. She said that she's been doing this. She has been specifying and actually executing window treatments in the beginning of her career. And then she realized that it's almost like a full-time job. And it was taking so much of her time and depleting her of creativity because, Kim, as you know, window treatments is a lot of mathematics. It's a lot of detail.
Yes.
It's a lot of systems and processes and connecting the dots and crossing your T's and dotting your I's and doing all of that good stuff.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for both WindowWorks and Vitalia Inc. It's a full-time job. We do it 24/7 with staff. So if you're in Philadelphia, please reach out to me, and my information is right there, and connect with me on Instagram at Vitalia_Inc.
All right, everyone. Well, we hope you have a really great weekend, and we will see you next Friday at 12.
We'll see you next Friday at 12. Thank you so much.
Bye.